Hello everyone. The topic we will talk about in this video is trying to answer the following questions that some people have about: when and where did the first Homo sapiens or intelligent man appear? You as an intelligent human being, but I also recognize that a large part of the effort of scientists all over the world who is dedicated to the study of human evolution, and the result is that our understanding of this topic is advancing rapidly as they come out. In light of new data and hypotheses are verified, confirmed, discarded, or modified, and in this video we are summarizing the most important aspects to consider when we hear about our origin as human or intelligent human beings. Our species, Homo sapiens, evolved from and replaced Homo erectus about 300,000 years ago. The first specimens found at Swanscombe, a reserve national natural, in England, and Steinheim in Germany, indicate that the first Homo sapiens were a people with a robust facial constitution and strong jaw. Traces of built brow ridges were very present, and the forehead was slightly inclined backwards. But all physiological functions were within the range of variation of modern people. The scientific study of human evolution refers primarily to the development of the genus Homo, but generally involves the study of other hominids, such as Australopithecus, Homo erectus and Homo habilis. Modern human beings are defined as the species Homo sapiens, thinking man or wise man, of which the only subspecies known as Homo sapiens sapiens. The origin and evolution of modern man. We must talk about the first ancestors before modern man, such as Australopithecus was the first hominid that walked upright and thrived in the African savannas 4 to 2 million years ago. Origin of the human race, Homo habilis. The findings in Tanzania and Kenya of 2.5 million year old fossil remains allowed the identification of a different species, a descendant of Australopithecus afarensis. Although Australopithecus have more characteristics of great apes than modern humans, such as a more exaggerated sexual dimorphism, males were 50% larger than females, for example, or a brain that was also relatively smaller than ours, has a key characteristic in common with us: bipedalism. This genus presents some found species, A. annamensis, probably the most famous of all our ancestors, who lived ago approximately 4.2 million years, A. afarensis, which lived between 3.9 and 2.9 million years ago. This species shows a trend that we find in our evolution: the reduction of the dentition and the size of the jaw. They had smaller canines and molars than modern ape species. Let's talk a little about fossils. Present a greater cranial volume and some anatomical changes related to posture, as is the case of Homo erectus. But before that we must talk about Homo habilis, who compared with the Australopithecines, the specimens of the genus Homo habilis present more similar characteristics to modern human beings. For example, his jaw was smaller and he had a larger brain. However, Homo habilis still exhibits hominy characteristics. More primitive, such as proportionally longer arms. Now let's talk a little more about Homo erectus. Based on the remains found in Africa, Europe, and Asia, this evolutionary phase is dated to between 1.5 million years and 500,000 years ago. The different communities of Homo erectus migrated from Africa to other continents. The fossil record appears Homo erectus, ago approximately 1.8 million years. It is believed to have emerged in East Africa and was the first hominid to migrate out of Africa. Fossils of Homo erectus have been found in India, China, Java, and Europe. Homo erectus has downward-directed nostrils, more similar to ours. This characteristic could be an adaptation to colder climates, since it allows greater heating of the air before it enters the lungs. Based on the remains found, it is believed that Homo erectus was the first hominid to control and use fire and have a base house. They apparently became extinct about 50,000 years ago. Some anthropologists consider that to talk about Homo sapiens we must first know the history of it, because many reach the conclusion according to the most recent discoveries, Homo sapiens is the species that evolved from Homo erectus. The evolutionary transition began 500,000 years ago, but only 200,000 years ago Homo sapiens appeared as a clearly separate species. The variety of Homo sapiens that experienced this transition is called archaic Homo sapiens. Our species is thought to have evolved from Homo erectus about 500,000 years ago. Various fossils have been found from that time, very close in appearance to the Homo sapiens, but still with anatomical differences, who are called archaic humans, and here the Homo neanderthalensis, the very famous man of Neanderthal, Homo rhodesiensis, Homo heidelbergensis and Homo antecessor. Some propose the polygenism model. It proposes that ancestral populations of Homo erectus around the world evolved, gradually and independent, towards Homo sapiens. Those who defend this model maintain that contact between different geographical populations was essential to maintain a genetic flow, which allowed them to evolve as a group and not independently. While others support the monogenism model. This model contemplates a single origin, followed by migration to the rest of the continents. The species of Homo sapiens would have emerged in Africa and, from there, would have migrated to Eurasia. At this time, most scientists support the monogenistic model. However, but they also usually consider intermediate situations between both models to explain the origin of Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens idle to which could be translated as wise old human. The fossilized remains of Homo sapiens idle to were discovered at Heidelbergensis near the site of the Middle Awash of the Afar Triangle of Ethiopia in 1997 by Tim White, but were not first reported until 2003. Heidelbergensis is a region of Ethiopia under volcanic layers. Using radioisotope dating, the layers date between 154,000 and 160,000 years old. These fossils differ from those of chronologically later forms of early Homo sapiens such as Cro-Magnon man found in Europe and other parts of the world in that its morphology has many archaic features not typical of Homo sapiens. Like the oldest species of the genus Homo, Homo sapiens is a bipedal mammalian species, whose body has bilateral symmetry, and which has sexual dimorphism. Females and males are distinguished by the characteristics of their bodies. Women have breasts, small waists and a vulva. Men they lack breasts, are broader in muscle and have a penis. The intelligent man or Homo sapiens has a cranial capacity. It increases its cranial capacity to an average of 1,500 cubic centimeters, and scientists consider that it had an intellectual potential equivalent to that of the current human being. He is also recognized for the manufacture of tools. He created more elaborate tools and developed different techniques for working on stone. Homo sapiens fed on elements that existed in nature through hunting and gathering. They developed more complex group hunting techniques, with weapons that allowed them to hunt large animals. Another known subspecies, Homo neanderthalensis, Neanderthal, which became extinct 30,000 years ago, has sometimes been classified as a subspecies, Homo sapiens neanderthalensis. Genetic studies now suggest that the functional DNA of modern humans and Neanderthals diverged 500,000 years ago. This is the case of Homo neanderthalensis, about whose remains archaeologists, paleontologists and other specialists debate. Currently, most consider that it is a subspecies of Homo sapiens, with traits and characteristics different from Homo sapiens sapiens, another subspecies of Homo sapiens, which is the current human being. Neanderthal man was the first specimen to be recognized as an early human fossil. When it was discovered in 1856 in Germany, scientists had never seen a similar specimen, oval skull shaped with a low front to back and distinct ciliary arches, with thick and strong bone. In 1864, it became the first species of fossil hominids to be named Homo sapiens. Homo rhodesiensis, Rhodesian man, is a species of extinct hominids of the genus Homo, described in the Cobway skull fossil. Other morphological remains comparable specimens have been found in the same, or earlier, time period in southern Africa, Hopefield or Saldanha, East Africa, Bodo, Ndutu, and northern Africa or Africa, Salé, Rabat. These remains were dated between 125,000 and 300,000 years old. The specimens of the discovered species Homo rhodesiensis, they have been classified by some as a subspecies, but this classification is not widely accepted. Anatomically, modern humans appear for the first time in the fossil record in Africa about 195,000 years ago, and molecular biology studies provide evidence that the approximate time of divergence of the common ancestor of all modern human populations was 200,000 years ago. The first sites of fossil and archaeological remains of modern man that invaded Europe are found in the Middle East, dating back 48,000 years. The first fossil remains appear along the edge of the Mediterranean. Already between 40 to 35,000 years ago they were distributed from Spain and Belgium in the west to the Lake Baikal region of Siberia in the east. Currently, there are only humans known anthropologically as Homo sapiens sapiens as the only representative species of our genus. Apparently, the competition between populations because we occupied the same ecological niche meant that little by little we were isolating and eliminating other human species with whom we lived. Despite this, the genetic analysis affirms that there was interbreeding between species, which is why we carry some genes from these in our DNA. Extinct humans. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for visiting this channel.